Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our journey with the Holy Spirit through the 40 days of the book by Jack Levison. And we're going to continue looking at this theme of breathing and how the Holy Spirit is within us, the Ruach of God deep within us. And today the weather's very different to yesterday in Howard's video, and today the rain is just on the edge of lightly dusting the seating around here in the prayer garden. So yeah, I still wanted to come outside though because of what we need to talk about today. And the story is to continue the story of Job, to later in the book of Job, to chapter 32. And in between times of yesterday and today, Job has gone through an awful lot. He's felt his family disappear on him, his wife has died, his children have died, he's lost his livelihood, everything has gone, and he is even Job is sorely tested by wondering, where in the world is God? What is God doing if he can end up like this? And he gives a long speech leading up to chapter 32 about how he's tried to be faithful, how he's tried to do the right thing, and yet he's ended up where he does, on his ash heap. And that can be how many people feel, I think. And it sort of speaks into both the mystery of suffering. Why does suffering happen, and how does it seem to work? And also into a sense of injustice. Why me? Why, when I try to do the right thing, when I go to church, when I do all the right things in life, why do calamity come upon my life? And so it can echo a voice for many people who feel like Job. And then this character Elihu appears on the scene. Job's previous friends have tried to offer him all sorts of reasons for suffering. He must have done something wrong somehow. And Job says, I don't think so. I tried to do the right thing. And then eventually Elihu comes on the scene, and in chapter 32 speaks out and says, I'm full of words. The Holy Spirit within me constrains me. And then launches into a long speech in chapter 33 and onwards. And although Job doesn't feel as though Elihu's argument is a helpful one, before we leave this particular passage, it's really good to notice a little bit more detail what Elihu is saying. The first thing he says is, the Holy Spirit is within me and has given me these words. We can often rely on intellect. In the current lockdown, we're relying on science. But also there's a deep knowledge within us of what is good, what is true, what is right, and what is the way that God would want things to be. And that is to listen for the wisdom of the Spirit. We learn it not by intellect or by acquiring, but we learn by listening and trying to listen to that deep voice of the Spirit within us. And so Elihu is partly right in what he says. He then goes on to make quite a big mistake, which we can all make sometimes, which is when we feel full of these words, and he describes it as being full up like a new wineskin, ready to burst. And we may have had those feelings ourselves when perhaps we've been affronted or wronged, and we just really want to speak out and react. And these days, of course, we can react very quickly. We can send that email, we can send that text or that Twitter, and respond by disgust and disdain, and strangely almost do exactly the same thing as the thing we're actually being so enraged about, but to the other person. Or we can try and wait upon the Spirit and act positively out of that deep sense of injustice. And I've got a feeling that's where I feel right now, about all that's going on in America, and all the events of these last days, with everything else in the lockdown and everything. Yeah, I've got to admit, I have been absolutely almost incensed by what has taken place there, and especially in the name of Christianity. Violence and prejudice and racism have no part at all in the faith that we share. For whatever reason, we are called to be a people of love of all people, all backgrounds, all nationalities. And so I feel angry. I would like to go and join a protest. I would like to do this or do that. But actually, as I reflect, perhaps the greatest thing I can do is to indeed try to act positively in our own community in ways that I can and you can, we can. So all the acts of kindness that people have shared, all the prayers, all the phone calls, all the wonderful things, every tin of baked beans that we've given, all these things may not seem at first to make a huge difference, but if the whole world did this, then actually many of the things that so easily can anger us can be turned in even themselves into good. So this is the work and the wisdom of the Spirit, and we'll wait to see